Yeah, I'll lead us in. What's up, Cyber Chefs? How we doing today, guys?
Pretty good.
How you doing, everyone?
We got Marshall with a repeat occurrence on the show. It's surprising we were able to get you back to back. Look at this.
Don't get used to it.
I think he's back for good.
Yeah, I'm trying to be.
We're gonna get on a standard schedule on this thing.
So this is the Cooking with Crypto show. We've got Spencer Wyckoff here and
Rob DeBernard, what's up, guys?
Marshall Hicks in the house.
And we have this is a podcast about everything cryptocurrency, but we like to have a little fun with it. We bring you the first block, which is always about cooking. Then we do 3 different blocks, typically about cryptocurrencies and different general discussions that we want to cover, and then we'll finish you off with a life hack, and that's how we do it. You can find us on cookingwithcrypto.com and essentially all the social media sites. We're contemplating more video and more interview format as well, so it's all in the works. Thank you guys for your feedback so far. So, Rob, you want to kick us off for today?
Yeah, man, for sure. And we got a couple of guests lined up coming up either the next episode or soon thereafter. So there'll be some more guests, and that could be anywhere from a couple of local chefs, maybe some amateur chefs like ourselves that just have great recipes they want to share, or some at least more knowledgeable people in the area, subject matter experts, people that have been experienced in the crypto game for some time longer than us. So we're gonna bring in a little bit of different knowledge base, and that'll be good to have on the show.
For sure. What we got going on today?
All right, so you guys just enjoyed some of this, and we're gonna throw up some pictures of this stuff and the recipe up on the website pretty soon. But we've got basically my chili recipe, and it's a slow cooker recipe, so pretty laid back. There's only a few key steps to it that require a little bit of attention. So the total recipe, we've got again the reintroduction of poblano peppers into the diet. Those are awesome. Some red bell peppers, like jalapeno. I actually put a fatale pepper in there, which is a special kind of pepper. It's a little sweeter, but it's also got a heck of a kick. You can substitute in a habanero or probably 2 jalapenos for one of those fatales if you want.
Sounds spicy.
It's
Fatale
pepper, yeah. Fatali. If you got access to a pepper guy, those are my faves. You can also you could probably substitute in, instead of the fatale pepper, you could use Scotch bonnets as well. Kind of give that sweet but nice heat.
Okay.
Yum. Sounds spicy.
Some onions, garlic. I made it with beef this time, and we got typical tomatoes, crushed tomatoes with basil, some large tomato sauce, and a little bit of chicken broth or beef broth. So, key is for cooking this, you're gonna wanna saute the onions with the 2 garlic cloves I've got in the recipe. Mm-hmm. Saute those in a pan, get them nice and brown. Right, I love that brown sauteed onion flavor, and with the garlic in there, it really makes a nice base for the chili. Throw that in the crock pot. Then you're going to take the 1 to 1 1/4 pound of ground beef, saute it in that same pan, kind of catch up all the leftover seasoning and flavoring from the
yeah.
And you mentioned beef this time. Do you sometimes substitute turkey or bison or something like that?
Yeah. You can do turkey. Bison will be a little drier. Turkey will be a little sweeter.
Okay.
You could even do chicken, but I think there's a little bit better recipes for like chicken and actually turkey. Turkey, you could do some stuff with like what's the sweeter squash? Butternut squash. Butternut squash turkey chili.
Okay.
Kind of bring out more of the sweetness of the flavor.
I wouldn't change this at all.
No, so it turned out really well. So take all of that, put it in the crock pot. Once you I brown my meat just on the outside just to give it a little bit of flavor and kind of catch up that onion and garlic flavor that we have from the pan. Also, in pan searing the onions and the garlic, you want to use just a little bit of olive oil in there, right?
Yeah.
Not a whole lot, a little bit of olive oil, salt, pepper, throw them in the pot. Put everything in the pot on the recipe. So you got one third cup chili powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper, 1 teaspoon of red pepper, 2 tablespoons of cumin, and then 1 tablespoon of paprika, along with 2 poblano peppers, 1 red bell pepper, 1 jalapeno, 1 fatale or habanero, 1 onion, 2 cloves of garlic, 1.2 pounds of beef, 1 large can of crushed tomatoes with basil. That's 29 ounces. 1 large can of tomato sauce, and then 1 small can of tomato paste, and sum it all up with 1/4 cup of chicken broth.
And if you're in the car, you're going to need to, just listen to this again later.
Yeah, we'll post it.
Or go to the website.
We'll post it on the website, but just mix it all up, stick it in the crock pot on high for, I think I did it for 5 hours on high, and then you can also stick it on low and cook it overnight for 8 to 9, and
all day at work.
yeah, all day at work. It's an easy recipe. On low, you can leave it on for basically as long as you need, and it's just great finish, nice heat.
I love those recipes where you leave it, you go to work,
Come back, it's done.
Yeah.
your house smells great,
Right.
Yeah.
and you're like, you walk in, man, it's good to be home.
Yeah. And I'm not a morning person, so I typically will make it the night before and just keep it on low the whole time. And it usually only gets better with chili.
Oh yeah, it does. and one cooking tip for the day: if you're cooking it to make the chili hotter, with the way capsaicin works in peppers, the longer it sits in whatever sauce it's in, it's going to dissipate the capsaicin. So it's actually going to negate the heat. So when you make your chili, when you first take that bite and it's fresh, it's going to be about twice as hot as it will be the next day. Also, tomatoes are a neutralizer for capsaicin, so they neutralize a lot of the heat in your chili. So if you're trying to make it really spicy and impress maybe your work friends with how hot you can make your chili and how hot you can eat it, you'll want to double up your peppers.
Okay.
Especially if it's going
to be served the next day.
Like the next day.
Yep.
And that's a little thing I learned with my wings that I made earlier this week. Rob taught me this at lunch today because my wings weren't hot anymore. And I swear they were hot.
Yep. I love spicy food too, so I'm all about that. I'm all about that life. All right, well that kind of sums up block 1. Hope you guys enjoy that recipe. It's going to be up on the site under the cooking tab.
Yeah.
Throw it up there soon with some photos, and then also on the Instagram. So
It's really good. Literally eating it right now.
Yeah.
Like finishing it up.
I make chili a lot, and I'm going to make this next.
Yeah. I would definitely make this if I were to make chili.
It's good.
yeah, but you guys got the recipe.
No offense, Dad. I know you still make the best chili ever.
Can't hurt our viewership.
Yeah, can't. Right.
Our 2 viewers.
He's now like 1/10 of the viewership. So
He's out on that chili comment.
we just
He brought him back, though.
we just lost a
Like I
10th
said,
of our viewers, guys.
Strong save.
So that brings us to the first crypto block, block 2. Let's talk about mainstream investing. So you actually want to invest in cryptocurrencies and companies that are investing in cryptocurrencies, but you're not quite ready to follow our advice and go through the tools and such to buy it on cryptocurrency exchange. You want to keep all of your
wait, hold on. Wait, what's the top? What is the topic? Mainstream investment.
mainstream investing. So kind of your auxiliary investment opportunities for getting into Bitcoin.
Or
So
even
like
if you
you're
are.
not buying Bitcoin, but you're buying into a fund or an auxiliary investment choice.
Yeah, these are some stocks that some companies that have invested heavily either in blockchain or in Bitcoin themselves, and we've done some research on the initial ones that we want to talk about, or at least I have, and some of the last ones that we'll talk about are just kind of new to the game and could have some potential, but not really fully vetted yet. So when we talk about that, it's a great way that if you have a trading account with like TD Ameritrade or what's the one you were talking about earlier?
Robinhood is great for people getting into stocks. It's totally free.
And they got like more transactions that they want to make, more buys and sells.
Exactly.
It lowers the transaction.
Robinhood is great for anyone that has never bought stocks before and wants to do it from their phone in 10 minutes.
It's literally how I got started. Like
Right.
There you go.
About a year and a half ago. Like
Yeah, first stock I ever bought was in Robinhood.
yeah, because and I saw someone at work using it. I was like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Oh, you haven't heard of Robinhood?"
Yeah, and the fees
Like,
are
it
really
looked at me
low.
Like I was stupid, and I was like, "Man, I need to find out what this Robinhood is."
Yeah, it's actually totally feeless, I think, other than the SEC fees that are just standard.
Yeah.
But like Robinhood doesn't take a cut at all.
It's like, how do they even make their money?
So yeah, if you're trading on Robinhood, these are a couple of companies that you may want to look into and possibly buy to diversify your portfolio and get at least a toe in the game of blockchain.
So, are we going to go through Robinhood ones, or are we going to?
No, this is any
Yeah,
company.
just
So
any stock out there.
so the stocks that I have on my list, the first one is more heavily. It's actually totally investing in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, but it's a mainstream way to do so, and it's actually called GBTC, and it's Bitcoin Investment Trust, and it's available on a lot of the a lot of the trading portfolios like TD Ameritrade. I know it's on. I believe it's on Charles Schwab and a few of the other mainstreams.
So what are you
E-Trade.
What are you buying when you buy that?
So when you're buying that, basically you're buying into this investment trust, and they're managing your Bitcoin assets for you.
Are they buying Bitcoin on your
So
behalf?
yeah, so they're basically buying it and trading it and managing it. So this thing tends to fluctuate directly with the cryptocurrency market.
So these institutions are physically buying Bitcoin, like through like a mercantile setup through Coinbase, or how are they buying these?
I don't know. I didn't dive that
Okay,
deep into it.
okay.
It's just it's
So
an
I'm
opportunity.
just trying to, and this isn't pushback. It's more of like I'm just trying to understand
Yeah.
what the vehicle is, right? If you're going to use it as an investment vehicle, you kind of want to know like.
Yeah, I mean, and you can do your own research on it, but this is just kind of a lateral way to get into this. Now, the next one that I had was Overstock, which we understand a lot of. There's been a lot of news around Overstock and how they've been.
Yeah, some very negative news today, but nothing really to do with them.
Yeah,
Just something they were caught up in, I guess, with a programming bug, right?
yeah.
With who?
With Coinbase. You heard about that?
Of course I heard.
Yeah.
I read about it. Or I heard about it through Tone Days and Jimmy Song.
Yeah.
Thanks guys for the morning brief. We're gonna keep pushing out this info.
But Overstock they've been into crypto for a long time. They've been way ahead of the curve on this stuff.
Yeah, as far as like a Fortune 500 company.
They're probably
goes.
the first retailer I ever heard of that accepted Bitcoin payments.
Yeah, they're definitely one of the early adopters for it, and what they've been doing with their acceptance of the Bitcoin payments is they've been holding 30%, roughly 30% of those payments are the total payments paid in Bitcoin they've been holding, and are pretty much just
Hoarding it, right?
hoarding it,
Sitting on
investing in currencies, and then they've also come out with like their own, I think their own like internal blockchain they're going to be utilizing, but they're
Sure.
very interested, very big into the space, and what I've been telling people is, look, these Fortune 500 companies and all these publicly traded companies, they have to release what's called a 10K every year, which is their annual earnings. And it has to have all these details as far as their financials go, what their cost has been, their revenue, their total profits, and basically they have to account for all their losses and their gains. And with this, you look at this thing, and if they've been investing 30% or holding 30% of all of their purchases made through Bitcoin over the course of the last year, well, you start to think about, well, what's Bitcoin done in the last year? It's increased
13x.
Right. It's increased 13x basically.
So 30% is now more valuable than the 70% they saved
Exactly.
by a lot.
Right. And then the 70% they converted
Right,
immediately into cash.
Which is how it typically works on almost every website where you purchase something with Bitcoin. It's 100% is transferred to cash right away, right? Overstock's one of those rare companies that actually holds some Bitcoin
Right.
afterwards, which is kind of a testament to how invested in the space they are.
So that company's 10K, and so every time they have a quarterly earnings report, and you can look back at it throughout this year, the company's had a huge spike in price. Well, they're about to have their annual earnings report, the 10K, come out in January this month. So I'm expecting that company is going to have a massive price spike when that comes out, and they show how much they've actually earned and saved, and the buying potential that they've just accumulated by this 30% hold of Bitcoin assets.
Yeah, because this last quarter has really been the biggest of all as far as gains.
So I'm big on overstock. A couple.
So you would investing in overstock would mean you're investing in a business that supports Bitcoin transactions and may include other crypto asset transactions in the future if any of them can prove that they're worth,
Right, and their CEO who's been leading this seems to be somebody who's plugged into this space and is not falling behind, but rather trying to get ahead.
Right.
Smart guy.
So
people thought it was crazy.
There's
Not this year. Not this year.
So there's that company. Then you've got IBM for the mere fact that they're just heavily investing in blockchain, the technology, and trying to understand it. And that's they're I think it's international business machine.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the sense
So the old school, acronym for that. But
I'm interested in what the innovation is, or if it's just a
it's not always just them innovating, but it's them understanding the technology, being able to influence their clientele, because they are also a consulting company. So them diving into this space can only have positive repercussions for them as a company as a whole. So that's why I would say, all right, IBM, and this is at a very high level surface. NVIDIA is another one. NVIDIA is because they make most of the graphic cards used by the miners. Now, NVIDIA's time may be running out, depending on the landscape and the changes in the mining community coming up. So that may take kind of a downward turn.
Do you have information about that you'd like to share?
Well, the competition's increasing overall, right? Just more manufacturers are starting to realize the benefit there. And NVIDIA has seen a huge rise in their stock price this year because of the demand for their chips, or their cards rather.
Yeah, and it may continue, and it will continue to grow. I believe at least through the next year or two, maybe 3. What will be the biggest change in the market for them will be if a new like proof of work or proof of stake theory comes out to basically change the mining game. What am I?
No, I mean I just.
Am I misstating that? Like
no, I'm just I'm only, I guess, like, I think there's a lot of fear that some type of new mining concept will swoop in and like pull out the tablecloth underneath Bitcoin and what they've got going for them, and it's going to take a lot of adoption to do that, because what they've been able to achieve up to this point is built on 8 or 9 years. Like, so this 13x price spike that we just saw in 2017 is based on 8 or 9 previous years of work and development and community building and organic, like, mining community spreading.
Yeah.
Like, you don't just come out with something new and like, ta-da, here we are, late to the party. It's like, no, this has been going for a while. So it would take a lot. I'm not saying it can't happen.
Yeah.
But it's certainly.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think the landscape for NVIDIA, they're not going to see kind of a downward trend in the sales of their graphics card, at least for next.
They were a super successful business
couple
before
years.
This.
Right, they were.
Computer gaming is a huge industry too, so
exactly.
This is like a huge bonus, like a new use for their product that people have found that is.
Or if somebody comes out with a way better processor type, like to basically conduct and calculate these algorithms that are the mining service, that would be the other thing that would change the landscape for them. So those, all right. So let's just
imagine how like incredible for a graphic processing unit, GPU, like manufacturer or user or dealer to then all of a sudden realize, hey, you've got this like near $1 trillion industry that needs your equipment so desperately, like.
Yeah, exactly. The potential for them.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they're just like,
it's a money pot.
This whole thing is built around gaming, and now it's bigger than that.
Bitcoin and blockchain and
computers.
Cryptocurrency has really become their cash cow for sure.
Yeah.
So just to recap, you got GBTC. Talked about Overstock. OSTK is their ticker. IBM. And then NVIDIA. The last two that I want to talk about, I'll talk about kind of the one that I think is more relevant. It's not directly relevant to cryptocurrencies, but I think because of the way their products are used in Asia, that it is relevant to some degree, and that's Tencent. Tencent is the company that owns that created WeChat.
Right, which Americans don't know much about.
Yeah, Americans don't know much about, but if you've ever been to China, which I have 2 cousins that live in China as well, WeChat is linked throughout their entire lives out there. It's not only a messaging platform, but it's a platform for everything. They do Facebook, they do LinkedIn, they order Ubers, they have their banking accounts on there.
They got over 1 billion users. So.
Right, and it's quick transfer of payment to payment, and it's very the use for their messaging service. It couples up very nicely with the technology behind the cryptocurrencies. So I think that company as a whole is only going to continue to grow. Plus, there's 1.4 billion people in China.
Yeah.
Right? So their market is enormous.
And they've got almost all of it already, right?
Yeah, exactly. And as they continue to expand to other countries, they're only going to continue to grow. So Tencent is one to look into. I don't have their stock ticker on hand. I think it's actually it's through like Hong Kong's exchange, so it's kind of a weird like H.
You have to jump through some hoops.
H number. No, you don't have to jump through some hoops. Just they don't have a U.S. stock ticker.
Yeah.
And the last one is kind of relative news, and it could be something. It could be just complete bonus and a cash grab. But Kodak
has come out with the Kodak coin.
Yeah, it's probably complete BS, but it's just something that, hey, you know what? Watch it. To have it on your radar, if the thing really starts to substantiate itself, it could have potential growing power there.
And that's kind of something to look for and to be wary of, as you're starting to see a lot of companies just throw buzzwords out because this space is so hot. They say blockchain, they say crypto, and they see their stock price double. So is Kodak going to be another one of those companies, or they're going to actually innovate? Anyone's guess.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, they innovated when the internet first came around.
Yeah,
so they're definitely gonna. They're not gonna miss this boat.
Yeah, exactly. I would love to see Kodak turn everything around after they've been the joke for so long for missing the digital camera revolution.
Yeah. It's true.
Filing bankruptcy this year, I think.
Watch Kodak be Satoshi Nakamoto.
I would love to see Kodak just take the camera game back over with this.
Oh my god!
But I guess I just like an underdog. So
it's funny.
Be wary of those things, but also pay attention to them, because if anyone does innovate, they probably will succeed. And short-term gains, seems like anyone that mentions it does well. So
yeah,
I haven't seen a stock price crash off the mention of a cryptocurrency yet. So
those are your mainstream investing opportunities just to look in.
Take the profit, buy crypto.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
My advice on all of this is just buy the crypto.
Yeah.
But that's me.
Exactly. Just listen to our earlier episodes and go through the crypto exchanges, USD to cryptocurrency, whichever one you opt to do. So that brings us into our next topic.
Yeah.
Block 3, altcoins. How do you pick them? When you're looking at diversifying, if you're already in crypto and
you pick them?
And you're looking at diversifying your portfolio, how do you go about picking an altcoin? And this is, again, we are new to this.
Hold on, we should give our stances on who we are, like a little bit, just a short little like.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm going to be mostly pro Bitcoin, like
a maximalist.
close to 95%.
Yeah, you're a Bitcoin maximalist for sure.
I'm like interested in the altcoins, and I'll dabble and play, but it's for me it's not. Yeah.
So Marshall, I'll let you guys kind of give your stance and kind of how you would go about picking. So all right, you know what, Spencer?
Yeah.
Spencer's a maximalist. So what would get you?
We should be honest with ourselves and be honest with everyone. Like, here's the show. Here's who we are. Here's how we're feeling and thinking about this stuff. Like,
yeah, in a lot of ways, I side with Spencer on that. I'm kind of a maximalist, but I'm also an opportunist in this space. I see what the altcoins are doing. There's a lot going on with what they call unit bias, where people are seeing cheap coins and they think, oh, it's only a penny or it's only 10 cents or $10. If it could get a quarter as big as Bitcoin, then I'll be rich. It's not necessarily true, because they can have 100 billion tokens versus 16 or something, and it might take all the money in the world to get them to $10,000.
Yeah,
right.
So that's kind of like a false equivalency that you see made a lot. But that being said, there are huge gains to be made in altcoins. Personally, I don't put a ton of stake in what the underlying project is or what their revolutionary idea is, because I think it's easy to fall into a trap that way, to where you believe in an idea that the market doesn't care about, and the idea isn't necessarily tied to the price. And also, it's sort of a Bitcoin maximalist. I think the best ideas will just be brought into Bitcoin eventually, as if they're proven to be safe.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing about Bitcoin, is all the best devs are working for them, and I mean, there's no them. They all work for the community, and they bring innovation. Anything that's a worthwhile idea will probably eventually be brought to Bitcoin or to a Lightning Network or something like that on the side. But you can make money in altcoins.
Yeah. Rob, where do you stand?
Be
honest, Rob.
I think the majority of your money should be held in Bitcoin. I do like the concept of spreading some of that around to other altcoins, but in a real tactical approach, right? So the way I go about looking at this, there's a couple of strategies that I've seen and looked into, and just to be perfectly honest, for me, I'll always keep my strict number is at least 70% of my total portfolio will always be in Bitcoin, and that's definitely less of a maximalist than you guys.
Sure.
I'd say there's about 20% of that will be split between my 1 to 4 top altcoins that I believe actually have a number of things going for them. One, they have a capped total supply, so a capped maximum supply, right? If you're investing in altcoins and you don't see a max supply listed on coinmarketcap.com, well, that thing is liable to infinitely get inflated, right? The inflation could go through the roof if they were to release, another 1 million or 2 million coins out to the marketplace and have no real substantial rate for releasing those coins. So the method of releasing coins is also key. If you have total circulating supply is the same or close to your max supply, then that's probably a good, a decent start to look into as an altcoin. Because when you think about it, just a simple supply and demand curve, your supply is relatively stable or set in that case, and the only thing that can really influence price is going to be the market demand, and it's going to influence the price substantially because your supply for something like Bitcoin is very close to vertical, and when it hits that 21 million max supply of Bitcoin, it will be vertical, and then the only influencer is going to be the demand in the marketplace. So you've got altcoins like that I like to kind of take that approach with. Then there's the underlying technology that Marshall mentioned. I like to see that I like to read the white paper, especially in the ones that I'm going to invest a substantial percentage of that 20% into. Like to understand at a high level, what's the technology? What's the use case? Is it something that I myself could see a use for, or that my friends in the space could see use for? Like to bounce the ideas off of close friends in the space and say, hey, if you had something that was going to be able to do this for you, what would you think of it? What would it need? And if the coin is able to meet the majority of those needs, I may throw a little bit into it.
Yeah.
The last little bit, like the maybe 10%, and that may even be high, else that I have in my portfolio is what I like to call the peanut butter tactic. So I consider that 10% just a big glob of peanut butter, right? And I've got a list on CoinMarketCap of the top 100 currencies and maybe even the top 200. And I just want to take that peanut butter and just spread it over top of all of those. Just completely divide it up amongst all of them. This is a tactic that I've seen a lot of people.
Yeah, that might sound kind of ridiculous, but some real numbers on that. There's a website. I don't remember the name of the website. We could link it in the description, but it shows if you would put $10 each and the top 100 cryptocurrencies on January 1st, 2017, where you'd be at today. So that's $1,000 total investment, $10 into each. It's over like $79,000 last time I looked.
Dang.
Yeah, the 1,000 would have gone up about 7,000% or so, 7,000 to 8,000% in just the 1 year. So that you only need a couple winners, and that's the thing. Probably only a couple out of that did win, but Ethereum was probably in that group when it was very small. Litecoin was in that group when it was very small. Bitcoin made you plenty of money off that $10. That turned to $130. Like, you turn a bunch of $10 into $100, and then it starts really adding up.
Totally. And what's kind of cool about this altcoin market that's sprung up is that it's sprung up because of Bitcoin, right? And so when you invest in these, your first access is buy Bitcoin, or now it's buy Bitcoin or buy Ethereum or buy whatever you can buy on Coinbase, right?
Guilty of starting there.
Right. Yeah, everyone, I started there. I'm no longer there, but I use their services. I think they're good services. I think it's hard to build a company that high in demand and scale technology at the rate that they have had to. So,
probably
I think that, the bugs that we saw with overstock, man, being on a dev team right now, working for a firm, like it's tough sometimes, and sometimes things slip through, and you hate to see it, but at the same time, we're all imperfect, right? All that being said, your first access to a coin is generally Bitcoin, right? And then these exchanges have propagated all around the world, and now you can and they all accept Bitcoin. No one doesn't accept Bitcoin, right?
Right.
You'd be crazy to have an exchange that didn't accept Bitcoin.
Yeah, I don't think it exists.
Very few exchanges accept US dollars, but all of them accept Bitcoin. Why is that? Well, because all these altcoins are springing up all over the place, and Ethereum's supporting them with these ICOs. Right. And it's great to see all of these things get pumped, and people are making fast cash. And if you can get out, cool. And some people get out and lose, and get taken. And so you are playing in choppy waters. Be careful. Peanut butter spread technique is not, more than probably 1 or 2% of your entire net.
Right.
So,
And the idea, and one thing I kind of missed on stating there was the idea that peanut butter spread is not to increase maybe my cash holdings, not to go in there with the thought that, hey, I want these things to grow in a manner to which they are worth more in the USD, but I'm targeting coins to grow in their worth in Bitcoin. Ultimately, I want to convert my my winnings basically in that peanut butter spread back into Bitcoin and increase my Bitcoin holdings, because that is where I see the market really going, and that's gonna be, as crazy as this sounds, that's the most stable investment in this space. Everybody always they use Bitcoin as the keystone for marking how the space is doing, how everything else is coming along. So that's where, that's kind of my tactic. So I think that kind of covers the altcoin strategy that we have now, and I think a lot of these altcoin discussions and questions will be great for Jeff when we get Jeff on the show.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll be able to link up with him this weekend and have him on the show next week. But let's go on to our last crypto topic of the day. I think Spence, you want to take this one away.
Yeah, what was the topic?
What was it?
Paper wallet.
Your paper wallet.
The most secure way.
One thing I love about recording these is, like, as we start talking about it, it's like, oh my gosh, we could totally go down that route. Oh my gosh, we could totally go down that route. And it's just fun, like, creating something organically. And you guys are awesome to bounce conversation off of. So, the thing I wanted to share today was basically how to do a paper wallet. So we have discussed...
Wait, why would I want a paper wallet?
Yeah.
And what is a paper wallet?
Yeah. So we've discussed in some previous shows the importance of security and holding your own private keys, and that the most secure way is to do so in a cold format, right. AKA one of these hardware wallets, the Ledger Nano that Rob talked about in a previous show. You could have it on a computer that you don't connect to the internet ever, like, so you could transfer it via like USB or something like that, and then have it be just a separate computer, a brick.
Or a phone with no SIM card, because I hear phone operating systems are much more secure than computer operating systems.
Wow, good touch. Nice.
No SIM card.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
That's all. Yeah, like Android and iOS is supposed to be much safer than Windows, for example.
And then if you don't have it like on your network plan, it's not hopping on the network.
It doesn't have the ability to get on the internet with no Wi-Fi. And,
you just turn Wi-Fi off.
I think Tone Vase and Jimmy Song talk about that a couple of times in their daily the daily review.
Now, if only I can get a few of my old iPhones that I've smashed into the floor to boot back up.
Yeah.
But regardless, none of that will be as safe as a paper wallet, right?
I mean,
depends on how you define the safety.
Yeah, it depends on safety. The cool thing about a paper wallet is it's cheap. It's a piece of paper. If you have a printer or access to one, you just print it out. Two, you can generate the wallet. It's like some people want to know, how do I generate it? Well, you could go to a site like, I think it's bitaddress.org. We've shared the link before on the show, but you go there and you can generate it, but you have to go there first to the internet. So you don't necessarily want to generate it on the internet per se. You want to instead download their file, unconnect your computer from the internet, then open that file in a browser like Chrome, right? And then it will run and open and do what it needs to do without being connected to the internet. And then you generate your wallet, and it's the safest way to store, or it's the most practical way for me to store at this point. So I print it, and you can print off several of them. So I printed off 5 different wallets, right? 5 different pieces of paper. It had my public key, which I send my Bitcoin to. So it's living in Gemini, or living in my blockchain wallet, or living in my such and such wallet, right? And then I'm transferring it to 5 different sheets of paper. I take those 5 sheets of paper, they have my public key and my private keys, and then I put that away in a safe in my, wherever. I keep a safe, and then... And
you could even separate the two if you wanted, right? Or you could cut into 100 pieces. As long as you have all the pieces, then you're good. If you wanted to get crazy with it.
If you wanted to get crazy with it, you could have a place where, you stored... I don't know, you could cut it in half, sure. Right. I mean, it's 2 different QR codes, those little grid block, black and white things that you see all around the place, giant squares. Everyone should know what a QR code. Maybe someone's, 80 years old listening to this and doesn't know what a QR code is, but that's all it is. So if you have the 2 QR codes, you're good.
If it wasn't for Bitcoin, I wouldn't have any use for a QR code ever. But Bitcoin has revived the QR code.
That's true.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
My question then, Spencer, how do you get coins from a paper wallet onto an exchange? Or how do you get them back onto a hot wallet?
Sure. The same way you would transfer them to the paper wallet would be the same way that you transfer it back to the exchange. So if you've ever done exchange to exchange transfers, or you've ever taken it offline to a nano and then put it back on, that's the way. So you essentially would take your private key that you have access to, you'd open up whatever wallet you use, it would say, you'd hit their receive Bitcoin, place in their app.
Right.
And then it's going to request like a restore, and you just restore it that way.
Okay, so there's be a menu that actually requests them.
Yeah.
Because I've never done it that way, and it's always pushed in my experience, not pulled over by the exchange. You would actually just take the address and then you send it through some kind of interface, but you can't manipulate the paper to send anything. So you're saying you just click the right sequence of buttons, so it'll be pretty apparent. It'll ask for that private key, and then bam, they're there.
Yeah. It's just most places are going to have a receive section.
Yep.
So here you go. You can basically just upload it right there.
And with
copy and paste it or type it into the form field, and
with paper wallets, it's kind of nice because you could. I mean, it's nice and dangerous in the fact that you can make backups. You can have them stored in, somewhere in your household and your home safe, and then also have a backup copy, maybe in your will, or even
wills are public record
at your bank. Oh, okay, maybe
so
not.
Won't put them there.
Okay, good thing we've got a lawyer on there.
Hey, but they will go on the blockchain.
Right.
Yeah.
The Bitcoin blockchain, that is.
Exactly. So, but you could store it in a bank account, or in a bank vault.
Yeah, safe deposit box is where I've always wanted to put it, as a backup.
Right, as a backup.
Because you don't want to. In the philosophy of Bitcoin, you don't want to be beholden to the banks.
And obviously, those are things that you just want to buy and hold, just let it sit and forget about it.
Bury it in your backyard if you want.
Yeah, there you go. Buried treasure.
You could treat it just like the gold your grandfather.
Dude, just imagine this. Imagine you're just a whale, and you're like, you know what? All I want to leave behind in this world is just a massive treasure hunt, and you just make your own treasure map and just take these paper wallets and just bury them throughout the world. I just put like a Bitcoin or two.
Have you ever read Ready Player One?
No.
That's literally the premise of that book.
Oh my god.
It's like this digital king left behind a huge bounty, and
I love it.
There's a big treasure hunt, and the person who wins is the gamer.
Idea. We should do a treasure hunt for our listeners. It won't be a huge bounty, but
yeah,
we could put something worth your time together. Probably.
Yeah, you maybe get 100 Satoshi.
We could do better than that.
Yeah,
but that could be fun if there's any interest. Maybe we hide something.
Be a treasure hunt around Atlanta.
Oh my gosh.
That'd be pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah,
that'd be really fun.
And real quick, back to I just want to leave this last thing with the paper wallet.
Yeah, man.
To also kind of bring it all home that it could be cheap as well. So if transaction costs were to ever lower, which I imagine they will if the second layer comes in.
They will solve that problem.
Yeah, they will solve that. You could print off 100 pieces of paper, take $100 in Bitcoin, call it 0.0001 bits, and transfer that to 100 different sheets of paper, and just throw them around your house. And each 100 piece of paper would be essentially $1 and.
Right.
Just,
at that point,
you can make it rain with Bitcoin.
You can make it rain with little 8.5 by 11 copy paper. If you want to do it the right way, you could split into fours and just.
I'm not sure how that would go over in the cheetah, but
I'm wondering if it's ever happened.
I wonder if it's ever happened.
There's some super smart girls over there just picking them all up.
Or
I have a wallet.
Or there's gonna be like a Bitcoin whale that'll eventually maybe hear about this podcast and listen to that and be like, oh my god, that's an amazing idea. I'm gonna give it a shot.
Maybe once Ripple allows for a paper wallet, I'll just do it with Ripple because I know it'll be worthless at some point.
Ooh,
nice.
Nice.
We're all out of Ripple.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that brings us to our last block, and that's the life hack. So today's life hack, kind of relevant to the space. If you ever, especially if you're ever doing a paper wallet and you want to just honestly handwrite your paper wallet, right?
Yeah.
Any kind of handwritten code or really any note that you've written yourself. This is kind of just an interesting life hack. Most people, when you write a note and you want to kind of scribble it out, or you write your social security number, right?
Yeah.
You don't want that to be thrown out and legible. So most people just scribble that out. I mean, now if you guys are doing
scribble it out, throw it in the trash.
Scribble it out, throw it in the trash. Well, the better way to basically keep it from being legible is, instead of scribbling it out, it's still able to be somewhat discerned with the random lines running through it, but actually to write other letters and numbers over top of the other letters and numbers and then throw it out. It quickly becomes indiscernible what the letters and numbers truly are if you do that. So that's your life hack for the day.
It's like a little bit of decrypting or encryption.
You're encrypting your trash.
Personally, I just burn it.
Yeah. Okay, or you could just burn it. Thanks, Pyro Marshall.
It's a problem.
All right, guys. Well, I think that sums up everything that we had on the day. Check us out. Check us out at cookingwithcrypto.com. Check out our website there, and as well as follow us on social media.
Yeah, if you like Instagram, at Cooking with Crypto. If you have Twitter, cooking_crypto. You can find us on SoundCloud. We're getting on YouTube as well. We're there. Check us out. Say what's up to us.
Thanks, Cyber Chefs.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you later.
Bye.